Honesty and transparency. This is, yeah, this is an incredibly beautiful yet heavy topic. It's one of the things that we really reinforce through repetition and repetitiously do it again and again and again, because honesty and transparency is key. And it's funny, when we do these types of groups, of course, we want to live a life where it is do as I do and as I say, but I am trying every single day and ensuring that I'm doing my best to be a living example. And so it's interesting. I hadn't shared this story in a while, and it really resonated with a lot of the clients and people that were there during the share. And so it got me thinking of, crap, even though it's difficult to share, that maybe I should just put it out there to show that I guess I'll just start at the start. I'm known as the happy-go-lucky guy, oh my gosh, life is beautiful and awesome, and I just love it. And it's funny, we get really raw in different groups and in sessions with individuals. And it's awesome because one person goes, man, when I first met you, I thought you're the fakest person I've ever met in my life. And I had to take that and grin, because it's not the first time I've heard it. But how cool to be in a safe enough place that you can share judgments or labels or even thoughts that we have with another person as we get to learn the authenticity. And so it was funny because this came on the heels of, you must have a really good and easy life. You're happy all the time and you're always singing or skipping or other stuff. And I thought it was funny. I said, so why do you assume my life is so good? And it was because it reminds me of the saying, I think I said this in one of the other videos. I don't know if it was Gene Kelly. And they said, man, your life must be so good because you're whistling all the time. And he says, no, I actually whistle all the time because that's what makes my life so good. And so we put the cart in front of the horse. But I said, well, we all kind of have similar stories. Life happens. What I mean by that is life gives us amazing, juicy, fantastic moments and experiences where literally it's just like, this life is awesome. It gives us crappy, depressing, just dark times where we think life sucks, and everything in between. And so when they shared this with me, I said, well, let me share a story with you. And the reason why I love the educational aspect of this is because every time I share a story or educate, I get another repetition. And then I'm able to see and reflect for honesty and transparency in my own life of where else am I doing this? And so one of the examples I gave in this group was, most people don't know the story of when my daughter was born. And so I opened it up and actually shared, and I'll share with you too. So it was 3 days after my daughter was born, maybe day 2, but we were driving home, or we'd already been home, 3 days after born, already been home, and we were getting ready for bed, got clean bill of health, everything was great. Brand new parents, first child, so you think everything you're doing is a failure, which is totally normal. And I remember finally falling asleep. She fell asleep, and I remember waking up to my wife screaming. My wife screaming so loud. It sounded like she was being murdered. I've never heard my wife scream like that before. And I wake up and I still have the memory. Everything was like slow motion. All I heard her screaming was, she's not breathing, she's not breathing, she's not breathing. And I swear it was like it was slow motion. Inside I'm panicking, but outside I slowly move over to the side of the crib, and I just remember her yelling like, hurry up, hurry up. My body moved slow. I just had to keep remembering from taking the infant CPR classes at the local hospital here. And I just remembered going, okay, I look over, purple face, not breathing. Being a new parent with a 3-day-old infant that's not breathing and purple in the face, I was freaking out. All I remember is I picked her up, I put her over, and just remembered what I learned in the class, and did a few hits on the small of her back, and she coughed up the bile and started breathing again. I was still just kind of halfway asleep, halfway processing. We load her in the car and rush to the hospital. And we get her in, and they say, we can't do anything here for her. Well, they admitted her and looked. They said, we can't do anything here. You have to go to, it's one in the next town over, but the hospital has a pediatric unit. We don't have one here. And so I remember we rush her over. We get there, I don't know, it's like 3 a.m. Up is down, down is up. And I remember they start running tests. And it seems like they're running test after test. Our baby just keeps vomiting, can't hold anything down. One of the nurses pulled us aside, or I pulled her aside and just said, hey, no one's talking to us. We're so scared. What's going on? And I remember sharing this, and she said, we don't know what's going on. We don't even know what's happening. And unfortunately at the time, and I didn't have the rational thought process I do now, she said, we don't even know if she's gonna make it. And I lost it. I literally broke down. My wife broke down. And the reason why I share this is because this is where transparency and how am I living my life comes into effect. At that moment, I didn't know what to do, so I called a really important person in my life, mentor, guide, trusted friend, family, whatever you want to call it, but called and shared the story with him. And I'll never forget this because this was one of those life-changing moments. Hopefully you know what I mean, where a question is asked that rocks your world to the core and has you re-look and think at life as you entirely know it. And he said, well, the first thing is, are you doing everything you can to help that child? I said, well, of course. He said, okay, so it's not like you just threw her in a corner. You're doing everything you can to make sure. Here's the second question. It's the most important question. Is that your child? And that was when it hit me. That's when it hit me, and I thought, oh, you know what? She's been given to me and my wife to steward over, but it's not our child, it's God's. And that was a moment that just rocked me to the core and was this beautiful feeling, even though it was in a state of chaos of kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm holding on with everything, just trying to grasp what I can as a brand new parent. And with that one question, I thought, I can't hold on and try to control life like that. I have to go like this, and to pray and to say, well, if today is the last day I get with this individual, I'm gonna love her completely, and the gift she gave me is how to really know what true love is and a depth of love I never even knew. It helped recenter me in a chaotic place of uncertainty. So I shared that with my wife, and then they kept running tests. And I remember, I think it was a shift change where they brought her back to us. They said they're gonna give it some time and see. And my wife, call it spiritual intervention thinking, but like out of nowhere, she goes, let's prop her up. Let's just put her at an angle. And just by doing that, she stopped throwing up and started holding down her fluids. Now this is something that's really crazy. They kept running tests, and finally one, I think it was the charge nurse or the head nurse, talked to the doctor, and they figured it out and came to us and said, very interesting thing, your daughter has acid reflux. It's an extreme case, but you just gotta keep her at a 45-degree angle and she should be fine. It was so interesting because before that information, life was so chaotic, and by that unspoken, I don't think intentional, of we don't know what's going on, if she's gonna make it. And then having the certainty of it's acid reflux, kind of like a, not a big deal, just keep her propped up. It's not life-threatening, it's not even really that big of a deal, other than she'll vomit when she lays down, so bring her up. And then what changed with that information? Again, the reason why I share that though is to really make sure, and as a reminder for me, that I'm living a transparent and honest life, and that what I am being taught and what I'm teaching, we continually to help each other keep that level of accountability. It's incredible what happens when I stand in the mirror and I look at myself and say, am I living the way I preach? Am I living a life that is in consistent values with my intentions? Will people see what I think by my actions? And if so, then no matter what life throws at us, we tend to make it through best and worst case scenario and continue to go. When we're not, it's incredible at how chaotic life gets and how ugly it gets and how quickly we just spin out of control. So the whole reason why I bring this up is to help openly say, am I living and is my loved one living in a way where the intention is congruent with the action and we're being open and honest and look at things from different viewpoints? And when we do, when our why is strong enough and we have that belief and that faith, we can overcome any how. But when we lack that faith, or when we're not walking in the light, how difficult it is, no matter how much crap life throws at us. So I didn't know how big of the rabbit hole I would get. I shared the whole story. First of all, thank you for allowing me and a platform to share this. As intimate as that is, every time I share it, I feel an even deeper level of love towards my wife and my kids, towards the clients as well, of really just looking and going, man, we're all broken people in this world, just kind of trying to figure out how to survive. And once we get past the addiction aspect and we're in that living and recovery aspect, how freaking amazing it gets and how beautiful it gets. And even when life throws that crap at us, it's like, okay, I believe that here's the test. I'm all in. So I'm hopeful that gives you some sense of hope. I am hopeful that it helps you connect a little bit more in this whole process of really figuring life out, especially in addiction. And even though I have never met a person that had it all figured out, I don't know if I ever will. We'll see when the next coming of Jesus is. But I will say this, by having connection and being able to share openly with different people and even strangers at times, I feel like we were made to connect at this level with other human beings, because that's when life gets to be really fulfilling and wide and deep. So I'll leave you with that.